Hey guys, it's Aisha from adaycreatives.com back to share another holiday card for 2014. And this is a different take on holiday cards. This is an artsy style card. So what I did is I started out with some heavyweight watercolor paper, and then I pulled out all of my spritzes and sprays that I had. So I'm using a few different brands, some from Dilution, some from, I believe, October Afternoon. I'll have them all listed on my blog, all of the supplies that I used to create this. And so basically I just took the white watercolor paper and I began spritzing the different colors in. Started with red and then layered it with a bit of green and also some splotches of pink and darker reds. My idea was that I wanted to have a layered look and just kind of a painted background for my cards. As you notice, it's a really large paper, so what I'm doing is creating one big sheet, one big pattern background, and then I'll go ahead and cut them down later on to create the different cards. So after doing all of my splotches, it just felt a little bit like it didn't feel balanced enough, didn't have enough green in it, so that's why I'm going back over it with some green. The lighter splotches that you see, those are actually pink. Even though it looks white on camera, it's more of a pink color. Now I'm just hitting it with my heat gun to make sure that everything is dry, because I didn't want it to get muddy, so I did actually dry in between the layers. I just didn't show it, and then I dried it at the end because now I'm placing some stamps on top, and I wanted to make sure I had a nice dry surface before doing my stamping. The stamp is a word stamp, and actually it's the words from Hark the Herald Angels Sing. I'm not sure the name of the song. Hark the Herald, glory to the new. Anyway, it's a Christmas song. The stamp is actually words to a Christmas song, and so I'm just stamping it. As you can see, I'm not neatly stamping it. The idea is just to give some more texture with the words, and I'm just doing it in random spots. So now what I'm doing is trying to figure out how to cut this piece of paper down to a size that'll work to get cards. And I know I want to use this stamp on it, so I'm just kind of using the stamp as a guide to determine how I'm going to cut this paper up. And if you notice, I'm not using a paper cutter for this. I'm actually spritzed my ruler with some water. It's just water in that bottle, and wetting the paper which would allow me to tear the paper and give me a nice deckled edge on the paper, because I wanted some of the fibers and everything from the paper to show, to give it a more natural look as opposed to a clean cut edge. And now for the raw edges, I'm just tearing a bit off on the edge so that it's not such a clean look. And I'm just cutting each one in half. So out of this one paper, I actually was able to be able to make 6 cards out of it. And as I've mentioned in my previous videos, when it comes to doing holiday cards, I do like to try to get a bang for my buck and complete a few of them at a time. I didn't think that my edges were roughed up enough, so I'm just using my distress tool here to rough up the edges just a bit. Now what I'm doing here is I'm using a stamp positioner and a piece of vellum here, and this vellum I'm not going to actually use it on the cards, but it's just going to help me to position the stamp later when I go to place it on the background pieces that I created. Now here you'll see me use the piece of vellum to help position my stamp, and underneath the piece that I'm stamping there is a piece of foam and that'll help me get a good strong impression. You have to push really hard with these larger stamps, especially the wooden block ones, to make sure that you get a clean impression and that every part of the stamp and the ink gets transferred to the paper. And so I just continue that process with the other cards. Now I just use basic card forms, white card forms folded in half, and I believe these are the 5x7 cards. Yeah, about 5x7 cards, and I'm just gonna go ahead and glue my artwork onto the front of the card. And here I'm just trying to decide, do I want to put it in the center of the card and then trim the card down, or do I want to have it at the top? So I tried it both ways, and I actually like both ways, but then the ones that I put towards the top of the card and it has that space at the bottom, I ended up adding a piece of cardstock to the bottom, or just a little strip of cardstock to the bottom, because for some reason the balance just felt slightly off to me. So here I'm just taking a look, and you can't really see it on camera, but one of the sprays that I used was a glimmer mist, so there is a slight sheen or glitteriness to the cards. It's not heavy, but it's just a touch. And that brings me to the end of the card. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please feel free to thumbs up and subscribe, and of course visit my blog at adaycreatives.com. Bye.